the record button here so we can share. Here I am with Mr. Marc Tsukayama. I'm in Minnesota, as I have been for a while. And Mark, you are where now?
I'm in South Carolina, in Columbia.
Okay, awesome. You
Yeah, a
guys
lot of
having spring
people.
weather?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's getting toward summer now. So it's in the spring where it's fluctuating in between, but we've had 80s so far.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And my memory's so poor, but I can't remember. Have you been to any of our reunions in the past?
Uh, uh, I think I might have. I believe I was at something like the 10th.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's been a while.
all right. Well, let's get a starting point for everybody. What year did you enter Kamehameha?
Um, seventh grade, seventh grade.
Same as
I went to
me.
Conneaut Elementary um, until the sixth grade, and then passed the test for the seventh. So, but my brothers had gotten in before me, and so they were like from kindergarten on.
They
I was
are
a slow
older.
one.
They are older.
Oh, you're younger.
Okay.
Yeah, they're my
So
younger brothers.
would they have been on campus same time as us?
Well, when we were seniors, my middle brother was a freshman.
Okay. What was his first
Yeah,
name?
John.
John Chukim. Okay. I didn't
Yeah,
know a
that,
whole
that was
lot
the
of
year.
freshmen,
That was the
so
year that the freshmen beat us. Yeah.
certain things I don't like to think about anymore, Mark. So
I think I was the only one standing up clapping for him, but
yeah, you gotta support. You gotta support.
of course, of
So
course.
we made it through high school. We graduated. And
Yes, we
then
did.
what did Mark Tsukiyama do next?
Well, let's see. I spent 5 years at UH and HCC. Um, I would have done better if I was able to get credits for beer drinking and alcohol consumption overall. But yeah, I got in 5 years of college, I got 2 years worth of credits. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah, so I was not a scholar.
Did you end up graduating from UH then?
No, no, no. I didn't. Uh, what happened was in the summer of 1979, um, the Marine Corps recruiter called me and called me called me over, and we talked, and I said, well, I wouldn't mind being an MP, and he said, okay, well, take the ASVAB, and so I did, and he said he came back with the scores, and he said, we can't, you can't be an MP. You're too short. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think he lied. Yeah, imagine that a Marine Corps recruiter lying to a recruit. That was the first, I'm sure. But he said, "Well, by your scores, you could do this. You could be an avionics." And I said, "Oh, what's avionics?" And he said, "Well, it's electronics in aircraft." And I said, "Okay, all right, I'll try it."
And they don't care how tall an avionics person is, huh?
No, 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 not at all. They don't care. As long as they can reach up in the wiring and stuff, they're okay. And better yet, if they put you on a small airplane, you can like climb in and then fiddle around.
I
So,
gotcha.
so, yeah. So I went to boot camp in January of 1980, and was funny because I'd never left the state before, and so we flew into San Diego, and they opened the door. and I'm headed out the door in January in San Diego, and I'm thinking to myself, who left the air conditioning on? It's like in the 50s or 60s. I don't know. It was cold. And so that was my first piece of culture shock there. But yeah, it was pretty shocking to say the least. But
Yeah.
I made it through boot camp and went to Memphis, Tennessee for the avionics training. And I left, graduated training, and I left in November of 1980. And I drove cross country with a buddy of mine going back to California, going to a place called El Toro. And it was really weird. Like I said, I never left the state. And so we're driving across country, and I knew where I was on a map. Absolutely knew I was in the middle of Texas. I knew it was there. But my eye and my heart kept looking, kept thinking that there was going to be the ocean on the horizon. I was looking for the ocean. I was like, this is crazy. I felt like I was drowning in land.
Well, let's see. After it would have been 1980, I was living in Southern Cal, accepted a job in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
So I packed up my belongings in my little Toyota pickup truck, drove a day and a half, got to El Paso. Welcome to Texas. Oh, thank goodness, I'm finally here. Another day and a half to San Antonio. And so I know what you mean. I'm going the other direction, but it's like, come on. I mean,
Come on, stop already.
yeah.
Stop. I want
So
the
yeah.
ocean. Where's the ocean? But oh, so so I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps. I
Wow.
retired.
Okay.
I retired in 2000 of January 2000. Funny thing though, um, our junior year, I was talking to Devlin Caniapio,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he was showing me I think it was his brother or his cousin. I'm not sure. I think it was his brother. He had been a Marine, and he had given him a the Eagle Globe and Anchor sticker. You know, how the Marines always put their stickers on stuff. And so he had a, maroon and gold and all that sticker. And I said, no, man, my Explorer sticker looks better than that. And so after 20 years in the Marine Corps, I got to admit, Devlin was right. So I was wrong. I got Marine Corps stuff all over the place.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a branch to be proud of. So what did you ever get time out of country while you're in the Marine Corps?
Well, yeah, I went on 5 deployments, um, 2 times out of Hawaii. They were Westbacks, um, and 3 times out of California, out of Camp Pendleton. Um, and well, yeah, so Westbacks, in case you don't know, it's Western Pacific. Um, got on a ship and floated around for 6 months and then came back. So I went out as far as the Gulf, um, out to Kuwait, out to Africa, out to Somalia, south as far as Australia, and Singapore, Hong Kong, Korea, Japan, Okinawa,
Oh,
you
okay.
know, uh, did all kinds of stuff. And yeah, so Marine Corps Marine Corps deployments are shorter than like Army because the Army goes like for a year sometimes. or 13 months sometimes. Marine Corps is 6, 7 months. They don't
Because
expect you
you
to.
are basically connected to the Navy, aren't you?
Okay, so there's two ways I can answer that. One is yes, we're the men's department of the Navy. And the other part is that the Navy is our Uber. Yeah, we hire them to take us places, and we go and do our thing, and then we get back on the boat, and then they take us other places. So yeah, we're okay. Yeah, we're part of the Navy. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I retired in January of 2000, and I couldn't afford on a Marine Corps um, retirement to come back home or to stay in California. And so we packed everything up and we went to where my wife's family is in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay. So when did you get married?
Oh, okay. So I met my wife in 1987 in El Toro, California, and that's Orange County. I think they call it Lake Forest now because the base is no longer there. Um, and we started dating in November of '87, and then she got orders to go to Camp Smith.
Okay. So she got orders. So she was enlisted or
She's a Marine.
whatever. Okay.
Yeah, I married a Marine.
Well, okay. I mean, keep it in the family, right?
Yeah. So she got orders to Camp Smith. I got orders to Millington, Tennessee to instruct at the avionics school. And so you know, long distance dating, ended up getting engaged and married 2 years after that, after we had we had met. And it took us a little while to get a joint household because we needed orders to get someplace together. And so we ended up getting orders in um, Camp Pendleton, California.
Okay.
And so, a little funny story about that. So we get together. I married into a ready-made family. I first met my daughter when she was 6, and my son when he was 2. So, uh, so when we got married, they were 2 years older than that, and and it took a little while, another year, before we could get stationed together. And so we got stationed together back in California. And my wife came up with orders to go to school in Quantico. Um, and she said, "Can you take care of the kids?" And I said, "How hard can it be? I mean, look, all I got to do is get them dressed in the morning, get them breakfast, eat their Cheerios or whatever, and take them to school. This is on base." And so they were in school, and all they had to do was walk down a couple of blocks to the daycare. And I would pick them up after work. So the Monday, I dropped them off. Everything went off good. I dropped them off, and I go to work. Finish work up like 5 o'clock. I go to the daycare, and I see my daughter there, and I go, "Kristen, where's Justin?" He's my son. "Oh, I don't know." I'm like, "What? What? You didn't walk down? You didn't walk down with him?" "No." "What?" So I'm searching around the neighborhood in base housing, looking around, and I gotta go, "Oh man, I gotta call the MPs because I got a missing kid now." I call the MPs, and I make my report. I say, "Okay, well, all right, I gotta go and check my answering machine." We had answering machines, no cell phone, right? So I gotta check my answering machine. And I go in the door of the apartment that we were in, and the phone is ringing. And I answer and it goes, Mr. Tsukayama, when are you going to pick up your son? But I go, what? Where are you? Where is he? Well, we're in the officer childcare across the base. And so observing all the speed limits, not speeding because I don't want to get pulled over by the MPs. I go over there. I go in the door, and there's my son back to us watching TV. He's got console, this little console in his hand, playing the game on the TV. And I go, Justin, what are you doing? Oh, well, I heard you and mom talking about maybe changing daycare. And so I heard these guys had good Nintendo. And so, and so what he did was, get this, he got on the bus that goes across the base to the daycare, jumps off, jumps on the Nintendo. And so I'm steaming. I go, get in the car. We go to McDonald's, get a Happy Meal, get a dinner. I'm like steaming, hot, hot. And so I have to call my wife and say, okay, the bad news is I lost our son. The good news is I found him. So, okay. So I was like kind of stressed about that. So I'm still steaming at 9 o'clock at night. I think to myself, oh man, I got to call my mom. So I call my mom and I say, Mom, I'm sorry. I'm a dumbass. Remember the time I talked the preschool driver in to dropping me off at the barber. I told the driver, preschool, I have to go get a haircut. The driver was clueless because I had a fresh haircut. And the only reason why I wanted to go to the barber was to get the bazooka bubble gum. So 30 years later, I'm apologizing to my mom. And she's going, uh-huh. And
I
it's
can
like, oh.
imagine in my head too, your wife going, Mark, you had one job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I figured that you'd appreciate this being a driver. And so my wife raised all kinds of cane with the school, and after that they decided, okay, well, we can't have strange kids jumping on a strange buses and going wherever they want to go, right? So now all the drivers have to know who's on their bus and all that.
It's called the Tsukayama regulation now in the
Well,
driver's
it was in
school.
California, but I don't know what it'd be in wherever you are. So, but So, okay, so I had my mom is a smarter than me moment 30 years later, right? I told that story. Um, 12, was it 12 years later? 12 years later, when my son is getting ready to go to Iraq. He enlisted in the Marine Corps too. He went to Iraq as infantry
Wow.
12, 13 years later. I tell the story, right? And after I tell the story, everybody's laughing because I got pretty good practice telling a story. Everybody's laughing, and he comes to me and says, "What did I do wrong?" He's been telling me here recently that you know that I'm smarter than that now. I'm me. It takes about 30 years to get that. Maybe my parents knew what was going on moment.
Hey, better late than never, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, golly. And
Yeah.
what does your daughter do?
Well, she married a soldier. Yeah, she married a soldier. Um, they were at Fort Bragg for a while. Actually, they were in Texas for a while and then Fort Bragg. Um, he got out and they went up to West Virginia. Things didn't work out for them, and they came. She and her baby daughter came down to live with us. So now I got projects in the basement, trying to make an apartment for them.
Now, your daughter's daughter, is that who you just transported earlier today? You were talking about taking a.
No, well, okay. When they were in Texas, they had Bella, who is the older daughter, and she's or I'm a bad grandpa. She's 14. And the baby is 4.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, there's a big gap between the two. And so yeah, that's the 14-year-old is the one up in West Virginia now with a dad. So smart kid.
Good.
Yeah, got lucky. But yeah, so anyway, I retired in 2000 and started working driving for a car service. So I drove town cars up to motor coaches for like 7 years. And then I got into manufacturing, electronic manufacturing, and did that. Uh, did manufacturing until 2022.
Okay. And you are officially retired now?
I am retired. I had to retire because my son was bringing his kids to live with us. And so I had to help my wife um, out with the kids and make the transition and school and that kind of stuff. And when COVID hit, they were not doing school the way they should have, and I think a lot of kids didn't do, and fell behind, and so they were working really hard to get caught up. So I tried to help them out a bit, try to make
Now,
them do their homework and stuff.
now I have a question for you, Mark. Your grandkids, their first day of school, did your wife put you in charge again?
Yeah, what could go wrong? Oh yeah. Oh no. She doesn't. She knows better now. By now.
Where are our grandchildren? Well, one's at the barber shop, and the other's
One
playing Nintendo with the officers' kids.
with the officers' kids. Yeah. Oh, doggone kids. But yeah, no. My wife has not put me in charge of the kids again. So
And I would assume
they're
because
not,
of the amount of
like, oh
time
no.
that's passed, your wife retired from the service also.
Well, funny story about that. So I was in the middle of the Gulf on a boat, and this was 92, was after the Gulf War. 92, 91. I'm sorry, 91 in the middle of the Gulf. And I get a Red Cross grant, and they said, call home. I'm like, ooh, something bad going on. So at the time, they had Mars. It was a used ham operators to make phone calls, and so I called into Mars. Turns out that she was being she took the opportunity to get out at 16 years from the Marine Corps because they had a reduction in force because the Soviets were done, and we had finished the Gulf War and didn't need the buildup that Reagan had set up, and so she got out, took some money, took the money and started working for first she worked for Department of Navy, and then when we moved here to Raleigh, Durham and Raleigh, she started working for Agriculture Department, and she
Oh,
retired. She retired 4 years ago, 6 years ago. I'm looking
wow.
at my wife. I'm looking at my wife. 6 years ago, she retired 6 years ago with almost 40 years of service,
Holy moly.
federal service. That included her Marine Corps time and time with the Navy and agriculture.
Wow.
So she did pretty good for for giving me a heart attack in the middle of an ocean. She says she knew what she was doing. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
man.
So yeah, so she did good. She did good, and so she retired before me, and I kept going, and then I kept going until she told me you got to retire because you got to take care of the grandkids, and I'm like, oh, okay. And so the grandkids got themselves sorted out, um, and are doing really good. And um, in September of 23, I got to do what I wanted to do, and that was go and volunteer with Team Rubicon.
What is
And
that?
Team Rubicon is a veteran-led um, humanitarian disaster response organization,
Awesome.
and,
Okay.
and we provide services to homeowners at no cost. Um, and we show up after hurricanes and tornadoes and floods and all kinds of other disasters, and try to get the house to closer to a livable condition than it is at that point because of maybe tree damage or flooding or um, wind or whatever. Maybe the tree fell on the house and cut off access to the doors or to the power and stuff. And so we'll go in and cut the tree away, clear the debris, and move maybe put a tarp on the roof, maybe uh, put some protection on the windows, um, get them to where it's livable. And if it's flooded, we'll take down to the studs, move everything, muck out the house, and move everything out, and get it so that
Now,
contractor can come in and
will
replace it.
you react nationwide, or is it close to your house, or
Well, okay, so it started in 2010 when Jake Wood, he's the founder. He was watching the Haiti earthquakes, and and he's a combat Marine, and the scenes that he saw was reminded him of places he'd been to, and he knew that he could operate in those kind of situations and provide help. And so we put out a call, and he and another Marine and a Army medic and I think a doctor and maybe about five of them went into the Dominican Republic and crossed into Haiti and joined up at I think it was an orphanage in Port-au-Prince, and they set up shop and they were helping, medically and all that. And they set up triage and all that. So that's where it started. And so they go worldwide, they go around the country. Um, we had volunteers in Lahaina. We have volunteers in California now. The last, since October, I was down in, uh, I did 2 deployments in South Carolina, 4 down in Georgia, and then 1 in Asheville, North Carolina. So my specialty, if you could call it that, is a sawyer. So I run a chainsaw. Yeah, it was funny too because I hadn't touched a chainsaw before last year in March. And so I'm in training. So I've been training on that. And then I have aspirations to be a higher qualified sawyer. And so do a lot of training, do a lot of stuff, and get to help out a bunch of people. It's
Sounds like the
very
organization's
fulfilling.
really grown then.
Yes, yes. They say they have I think the last number that they had was 200,000 people on the rolls, but not everybody can take time off. Not everybody can do things. And so in the time that I had gone in the last 6 months, I saw a lot of the same people going out there. And I went down to Florida when Idalia hit in the Big Bend area. And those are big operations. There were 80, 100 people from Team Rubicon. And here, because it was so widespread and we had so many bases, we operate out of 4 operating bases. And it's a big name, but it's generally a church gym, um, you know, churches, towns and that kind of stuff, have facilities that we use to support us. And since it's such a widespread area of damage from Helene and Milton, at one point we were operating, I think 5 or 6 FOBs, forward operating bases, at one time, and
Wow.
with 30 or so people in each. And they spread from, at one point it was Tennessee to Florida.
That's awesome. But
Yeah.
you walk away at the end of the day feeling probably pretty darn good.
I tell you what, I get, from all the sweat and the dirt and the sore muscles and the, discomfort and all that, and having to sleep on cots and listening to everybody else snore and all that. I still get more out of it than I put in.
Yeah. See, if you had been fortunate enough to have been a boarder at Kamehameha, the snoring would not bother you. Of course, I would think in the
Guess
Marines that
not.
would have
Well,
got
no,
rid of
no.
that too. So
You see, I spent a lot of time aboard ship, and so the berthing spaces were not immune to snoring. I contributed my bit too, so But in order to keep our marriage going, I had to get a CPAP, so I didn't want to sleep on the couch.
now I want to ask a question I've asked in some of these other interviews where one partner's Hawaiian, the other partner's non-Hawaiian. Is your wife an adventurous eater?
Well, I would say yes. Before we met, she was stationed in Okinawa, and
Okay.
she loved the Okinawan culture and the food and all that. And so, eating sushi with me when we first started dating was no big deal, right? And it was funny because when she got orders to Hawaii, um, she thought, okay, well, that was fun. And so we're going to be 5,500 miles difference. And so, okay, that's over with. That was nice. So she flies, her and the kids fly into Honolulu, and my mom and dad and sister-in-laws and all these and my niece, my little niece was there ready to meet her because they knew that, well, something's going on because Mark's been talking to this woman for a while, so we got to find out. And so she got introduced pretty quick to my family and a lot of of course, the culture.
Yeah.
And so yeah, she's adventurous. She wants to be out there and adventurous now that she's dragging me out and making me go travel places and stuff now. And like last year we went to Europe.
Awesome.
And so yeah, she's pretty adventurous. And then this year we go to Hawaii and then to Utah, and we're going to do the national parks. Yeah, my wife is listening for only my side of the conversation because, of course, she can't hear you. So, so she's putting her 2 cents in,
Yeah.
like
Because
she
I
always
know
does.
way, way back, back in my 20s, I was in a couple of different relationships where I'd introduce them, and the minute they got to either the poke part of the table or the dinaguan part of the table, and I heard them say "ew," I knew it was over.
Well, okay. The only time my wife said "you" was with the poi,
Oh, okay.
with poi. So yeah, she yeah, yeah. And when my granddaughter had to cheat, I put sugar in the poi, and she loved it. So, but yeah. So besides the poi stuff, yeah, she likes pretty much everything else.
That's good. Because I mean, it will come up here and there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She makes some pretty good hapia.
Right on.
So
And close to where you live, is there access to late lunches or anything comfort food for you? Or
um okay, so it in Augusta, Georgia, it's about an hour away, hour and a half away. They have a place. And I was coming back from Georgia on one of my deployments down there this last um winter and stopped in the place and it was good. It was good food. I got to
right
take my
on.
wife there. So, and of course, there's L&L's up in Charlotte.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm
we've
not
been,
near any. There's a couple of private uh institution chefs in Minneapolis, which is 2.5 hours away from me,
yeah,
and they make really good stuff. But again, it's 2.5 hours, so
yeah.
I
So
gotta
how
plan the whole
close
day.
are you to the Spam Museum?
I am about an hour and 20 minutes west.
An hour and 20 minutes. Wow.
But yeah, we've gone lots and lots because they have stuff they sell there that is not in the grocery stores, different flavored spam. Um, and my grandkids love to go to the little merchandising shop because you can get spam slippers, spam
Spam
notebooks.
slippers.
Yeah. I mean, any kind of spam T-shirt with
So,
Pikachu on it, or
hold on. I gotta tell my wife. It's rubber. It's not actual spam. Okay. I just wanted to make sure she didn't like mishear it.
spam slippers. Yeah, so we've gone there a bunch, and I just was up in the Twin Cities Saturday on my way home. I passed a billboard, a spam billboard that said 1.4 million Hawaiians can't be wrong.
I saw that. I saw that on your Facebook. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
So
But we haven't we moved here in 2019 and we really haven't found any real good some decent Chinese food. But I mean, look, they got duck. They got decent Chinese food, but we have to
Okay.
go back to like Durham, where
I just sent it to you. There's a dim sum place in Kieran.
okay, so yeah, we go to dim sum in Durham. And okay, so you know how you can tell where there's some good ethnic food in their parking lot? So or even in the place. So we go to this dim sum place and it's a couple miles away from Duke University. So all the Chinese kids from China go there.
we did that in Houston one time. There was like three Chinese restaurants within the same block.
Yeah,
And we poked our heads in the door and looked at the clientele. The one that had the most Asians was the one we ate at. So,
yep.
yeah.
Oh, I found a good place when my granddaughter was born in Texas. We went down to a place, the town of Killeen. They were in
Okay.
it was called Fort Hood at the time. And in Killeen, they had a Hawaiian place that we would go back and forth past all the time and never stopped in. And then we were at Big Lots or something. And the woman in front of us had the t-shirt from the place. And we asked, is that any good over there? It should be. I own it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it was good. It was good. I called my brothers up and said, hey, I got good Hawaiian food in the middle of Texas. Could you believe it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's a lot
Yeah.
of variety there because I lived in San Antonio for a number of years, and so we
Okay.
go up to Killeen, and that town was they catered to diversity just because
Yeah.
of the number of people that ran through there all the time. So
Yeah. Well, I think the husband had been at Schofield.
oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I think she was Samoan. So they got married there, and so she set this place up or something like that. But it was good. It
Awesome.
was good. I always have to get my musubi when I get into Honolulu. Go to the 7-Eleven. Yeah, 7-Eleven.
And the two things I learned after leaving Hawaii, living on the mainland is, unfortunately, I learned that Meet June is a Hawaii thing, not a Korean thing.
Ah,
And the same with Gao Min. I can
okay.
find I can find Gao, and I
Right.
can find noodle dishes, but because I guess apparently that's another Hawaii
Yeah.
created concoction or whatever. But
Mishmash.
yeah, but the meat June, my wife makes it, but I just I never stopped to realize they probably thought I was such a fool walking into a Korean restaurant and asking for meat June, and they give me this funny look. What the heck are he talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, whenever we have the opportunity, as a matter of fact, we had our granddaughter down and we had to make a trip to Charlotte because they have an Asian market up there that has fresh fish swimming around in tanks, fresh fish.
Wow.
And they would clean it for you however you want to clean it. Um, you know, leave the head on and that kind of stuff. And or down to the fillets and all the products from across Asia there. And they have a good bakery and lunch counter. So you can get like three three selections of whatever they got, and with rice, kind of like patties used
Yeah.
to be. But yeah, so we had to make the stuff for the grandkids because they love it too. Yeah.
Oh boy. That's
Yeah.
exciting, man. And remind me, are you going to be able to make it home for the reunion?
No, we've got a wedding, not this weekend, but next weekend, um, there. And so so our Hawaii trip is then, and we're gonna miss. But oh, this this Saturday I'll be helping out in I got a service event in the Boy Scout camp at Pupukea. We're going to
Wow.
be we're going to be cleaning up campsites, um, cutting trees, and just cleaning up the campsites and getting it ready for the scouts.
Wow. So how long will
So
you be there for that?
well, it's supposed to be a 2-day event, but I think my wife is limiting me to only one day. So only the Saturday. And but yeah, at least I'll be doing that.
Oh, okay. So you at least be able to make some comfort stops along the way somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Pupukea, there's lots of food trucks out along the North Shore, from what I hear.
Right, right. Well, are they so one of the big disappointments is that they don't have Ted's pies in like the supermarkets anymore. You got to go there to get a pie.
Oh, I hadn't heard, but wow,
Yeah.
that's surprising. But I guess there's still at least a workaround.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we got to make that trip too.
Uh,
But we're gonna we're not the pie won't survive the trip home because we're going to after Hawaii, we're going to Utah and do the national parks.
okay.
Yeah, because all the years I was stationed in California, we would drive on 40 to go to Durham to visit her family, and every time on 40, my wife would see the sign for the Grand Canyon, and I'd say, "No, we got to go. We got to go to North Carolina. Oh no, we got to go come back. I got to report into to California." So we years and years, and now she's making me go. Making me. We're going. We're going to the Grand Canyon. So
There you go. More leisurely itinerary this time,
I hope so.
huh?
We'll see. We'll
It
see.
seems like it'd be fantastic. I've seen it. I've driven past to where I could look over and I saw it, but I never looked over the edge or like that. But
Yeah.
seems like it'll be fun. So
Yeah, we're going to meet up with another couple friends of ours there, and we're going to do with Zion and Capitol Reef and Arches and a bunch of a couple others along with the Grand Canyon. So it's going to be a couple weeks there.
that's awesome. That should
Yeah,
be memorable and fun at least.
yeah, 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 yeah. So breaking in my hiking boots. So
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be good.
And
Well, you're
nice
going to
time
make
of year for it. So
yeah, yeah. We're hoping for good weather.
yeah.
Yeah, we're hearing that there's going to be some rain in Hawaii when before we show when we show up, I think. Because we're going to go on Wednesday. And then
Yeah, but this far away from winter, I don't know if I'd even worry about it. I mean, it
yeah.
can't be very long rain, or even if it's hard, it's not going to last very long, I would think. But
Oh,
spring and fall rains in Hawaii are not enough to even stand up for half the time. So,
Yeah. Well, my wife heard something about flood warnings.
Mm. You never know, though. I mean,
Yeah.
my time in Minnesota is so the weather reports here are so flighty. I mean, I think their accuracy record is only about 30%. So the only thing I trust
Well,
is to look out the window.
yeah, I've been watching YouTube, and they got some forecasts on YouTube, so I kind of trust. So
That'll be good. They get the local people there actually with some experience behind them forecasting the
right.
weather.
Yeah.
But
So are you going to make the reunion yourself?
yeah, I
Yeah.
land touch ground June 4th. I'll be in the dorm for 2 or 3 days, and then I want to stay a total of 2 weeks. I want to go to Kauai just because it's my favorite island.
Yeah.
And I'm at this point still trying to feel out if I want to try to get back to Molokai, where I'm originally from. I just have a
Mm.
first cousin that lives there, but apparently air service to and from that island is really spotty. They have one
Wow.
airline, I
Yeah.
think 2 flights a day, and if there's not enough people, they cancel the flight. So,
Mm.
you can't even rely on what they tell you they're going to do. So, and I
No.
feel sad because if you got a doctor's appointment or a medical reason to fly, you want to be able to trust that it's going to happen.
Right, right, right.
So maybe I'll just go towards Sandy Beach and FaceTime with my cousin on the west end of Molokai.
You could try that. That might work.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, but yeah, so it's because I haven't been since June of 22. Took my mom's ashes back to Molokai, and that's the last time I've been to Hawaii. So, but really, I don't have any of my mom's generation left. It's just first cousins. So
Mhm.
I want to go back just almost like for a vacation, really, not really because
Right.
I missed the place or whatever, but
Yeah.
get some beach time, get some good food, come back 12 pounds heavier, and then I'll be
Yeah.
accomplished.
So how do your what do your cousins do there to earn a living?
Um, One works at Pearl Harbor, so there's at least income there. I have another one who has a trophy shop in Pearl City, and I guess she bought it from a guy about 18 years ago. So it's long standing. Their client base is huge. She's
Okay.
busy all the time. She's same age as I am, 68, and she can't even begin to foresee retiring yet. So I said, well, okay, I mean, good for
Wow.
you, but bad for you because
Yeah,
time
yeah.
off is nice. Time off is nice.
So are you gonna retire or
Probably not. I mean, I'm not really working that much now. I drive a school bus, so I got like an hour and a half, 2 hours in the morning to drop them off. I go
yeah.
back around 2:30, spend another hour and a half, 2 hours taking them home. There's always room for a nap. I always get lunch at home.
Yeah.
I'll drive a little city transit bus sometimes Friday night and Saturdays, but when the school's on break, I'm off. So
Okay.
I don't see it as working. I see it as keeping myself off my wife's bad side.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good thing.
you know, um, so it worked. And I don't see any reason why, unless health kept me from ever working, I'll probably just work something. I don't want to ever do 40 hours a week anymore now,
Mhm.
but yeah, have some kind of plan to wake up to in the morning. And then I do a lot of um I'm in a nonprofit mentoring organization, so I've got a little 7-year-old boy. He and I hang out and go eat ice cream and
Okay.
cause trouble and this and that. And I'm on the chamber board and um, just little stuff like that. Just stuff to have on my calendar so it doesn't look so empty and a big void in the future, you know.
Okay.
So that's why I'm able to put a lot of these together because I can match almost any time zone from here.
Right. Okay.
Uh, the Hawaii ones are a little bit tough because they don't want to wake up at 8 a.m. to do one. So that puts me at 2 p.m. or later,
Right.
you know. So, but we're making it work.
Okay, good.
I think I'm going to be talking to Charles Kilho tomorrow. Have you watched any of them?
Um, I did. I did. Oh,
Okay.
who was it that was that was moving moving van kind of stuff?
Richard
Did the
Philip Swain
Philip
did
Swain. Okay, Philip
did
Swain.
sales,
So
yeah.
I was driving down from West Virginia on I-81, and there were these two black um, cargo trucks, 18 wheelers, and they had French on it, and it said something about Saint Saint Isidore Motor Transport, and they were moving, looked like they were moving high-end vehicles. Like he was
Okay.
talking his $1 million plus vehicles. So there was two of them driving down the road. I was thinking, man, I just heard about that.
Yeah, Richard Bartlett, he's retired from that, but he stopped actually one time in my town on one of his trips. He mentioned he was going down through I-90 to Minnesota, and I thought, wow, he's got to pass right through us. So I contacted him and we stopped, had our obligatory Big Macs or whatever. You know, the McDonald's is right next to a truck stop right on the expressway freeway. So it was
Okay.
and I had not seen him since probably maybe our 10th reunion too. So
Wow.
because I made our 10th and I think I made the 15th, 15th or maybe 20th. I can't remember.
Wow.
But yeah, I've only been to maybe two. And then this one coming up will be three. So I've
Okay.
been I've been trying to put the bug in the ear of the people running the show so that they give us name tags that have really big font
Right, right. I heard that. I heard that.
so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can actually read it from 3 feet out and not seem like I didn't know.
Yeah, getting old sucks, but yeah, I'm finding that I need to get I either need to get bigger sights or red dot on my pistol, so I need some way to get on target.
Well, we've got a church security team, so one guy has a range out on his property, and we go there. And um, one of the older guys, he's younger than me, but he was saying he's looking into uh, a red dot for his because if you're ever in a situation where you really can't poke your head out,
Right.
you want to be able to at least poke it out enough to see where the dot's touching, and you just pull the trigger. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I thought, now there's a
So,
benefit. Yeah, I mean, or if you got to look through some kind of peephole and stick just your hand out or whatever,
oh boy. Yeah, you better have plenty of ammunition at that point.
Yeah. So it's I don't know, it's just such a different world we live in. I think I was talking to Kathy Thurston about early 80s and she had messages coming in like you mentioned running home to check the the answering machine because no
Right.
cell phone, and running around outside and going down to the stream and digging for prawns. And today's kids, everything's electronic.
Oh
All
yeah.
their entertainment is all electronic. When I started driving school bus, I thought, thinking back to our high school days, I thought the high school kids were going to be my biggest challenge.
Mhm.
They get on the bus, they flip the phone on. They're like zombies back there. I got to keep looking back to see if they're on the bus. But the kindergartners, first graders, man, they make me earn my money. They're up, they're down, they're running down the aisle to the back. And just, you got to remind them constantly.
Hey, we just had an accident really close to where we are. School bus on a freeway um,
Ooh.
here last week. One fatality, and yeah, it was real close to. It was on the freeway that I actually came back on, and tire blew out, and and
Oh,
and he went over.
wow.
So it just
We
happened
had
that
one.
quick.
We had one about 3 years ago where a semi ran his stop sign and he caught the back end of the bus as it was, going like this, caught the back end,
Yeah.
threw the weight off and ran into the ditch. And when he hit the ditch, it just rolled because it was already, off weight and tipping. And that one, the driver broke his back. Kids were all scrapes and cuts, but technically okay. But he broke
So
his back and just
so maybe you can answer the question. What's the rationale for not having seat belts?
no idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't understand it at all because I drive a transit bus, which is our city's version of a city bus system, but we've only got 10,000 people in town. So they
Mhm.
use those little 15 passenger, like the shuttle
Yeah,
buses at
little,
the
yeah,
airport.
yeah, little mini
Yeah.
buses.
And they all have seat belts. So I couldn't tell you what the rationale is for not having, because you figure you go over, everybody's airborne, man,
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah, but the driver has a seatbelt, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, I've got,
not the passengers.
they're not even in the seat,
Right.
So I don't know. I don't
Like
know if,
that's a head scratcher. I don't know. I don't know why.
yeah. And I mean, if it's something as silly as cost, I mean, my God, get the
Yeah.
money somewhere.
Right.
And I really don't think that's it, but I can't imagine what it would be that makes enough sense for so many states to accept it.
Right.
Now you planted the seed. Now I'm gonna start doing some research here.
Right.
'Cause I've thought about it, but not long term in the past. But now I really kind of sparked on it.
Well, I mean, I've always wondered about that, you know, because it just sounds weird to me that you have your really precious your precious cargo in your children, and you're not doing what we would consider minimums to keep them safe.
Yeah, and they've had it around long enough to where I don't think it's a matter of they haven't felt the need for it, because I saw a picture recently of a flight that was going to Hawaii, and this is probably back in the I don't even remember, 20s or 30s, maybe a little bit earlier, where they were individual rattan seats, not bolted down, just set in the fuselage. And they had ceiling fans in the plane, but they didn't fly high enough to where they needed to pressurize. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, those chairs were no seat belts and not connected to the fuselage. I thought, wow, okay, I can see some turbulence really causing some challenges on that flight.
Well, when I was working aviation, it was always your notes and your cautions in your manuals that were written in blood. Someone paid a price to
Yeah.
have a warning put out. And so early on in the aviation, it was like, okay, we're flying. Okay, that's all we need to do is fly. The safety
Uh-huh.
stuff was not a consideration.
But
And of course,
it
the
always
Marines were like,
amazes me how quickly we advanced. I mean, from Wright brothers to landing on the moon, I mean, it's not a whole lot of years,
no,
you
not at
know.
all. Not at all.
Or from Wright brothers to a MiG, or
Right, right.
I don't even know what number
Yeah,
they're up
so
to now on the American jets, F-22s or 23s or
35s.
holy moly. Okay.
Yeah, they're into they're talking about sixth generation, where one one airplane will control any number of drones that are keeping up, and that provides more weapons availability to
Wow.
one pilot. But
That's amazing.
when a Marine first saw the airplane, you know what the first thought was? Can I put a gun on it?
It's a neat concept, but yeah, can I put a gun on it?
Can I put a gun on it? Yeah.
I've got a first cousin that lives in Spokane. He's retired Army, and he was uh like a range master or whatever their term for it is for almost all of his 25 plus years. And when I go to visit him, I feel very secure. He's got cameras. He's got, enough armament for eight more
Right.
guys than us. And so there's a lot of people in the world that are ready, just as long as their ideals are sound.
You see, for me though, I had a concealed carry for a long time, and I really considered carrying a lot more than I did. But a recent incident that happened to my grandson kind of brings a different focus. So my grandson was invited to go to was it um, was it Buster's? The whatever that amusement place is.
Oh,
They
Dave and
got
Buster's, yeah.
Dave and Buster's, that kind of stuff. Um, his friend was having a birthday, and his family, his dad and mom was taking him. Um, so they go. The dad drops them off. Place is busy. It's like a Friday night or something like that. Place is busy, so the dad drops him off and is going to go looking for parking. The dad parks the car. Well, the dad sees an empty parking space with a girl stopping anybody from going in because she's waiting for her boyfriend to park. And the dad gets into an argument. the boyfriend shows up, and the things get heated, and the boyfriend punches him in the face. He pulls out a knife. The dad pulls out a knife, and the other couple takes off. And so the dad is claiming, oh, self-defense. But in the end, if you pull deadly force on somebody and you're justifying it because you wanted a parking space, I can't live with that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. That ain't going to happen. I'm just going to walk away. And that got into my head so much that if you're carrying, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. But if that's the only tool that you have in your toolbox in a confrontation, you're using a hammer on maybe a screw. You need a screwdriver, not a hammer. If you don't have a full suite of tools, a full toolbox in order to deal with a confrontation like that, you're going to end up in a bad place.
Yeah, because they make us study these videos for our church safety team, and we've got 4 or 5 levels before you ever pull.
Right.
You know.
So you're going to escalations.
You know, pulling should really only be after the 5th step, or if he's already pulled the trigger at least once already, then
Yeah. Yeah.
then the threat
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah. You can't go into that kind of a situation without having put a lot of thought and exercise your decision making to a point where it just comes naturally.
Yeah. That's why, I mean, you can jump on the internet and find easily a dozen programs that will supposedly educate you on, deadly force use, because depending on what state you're in, you could be very right or very wrong doing the exact same thing
Right.
with somebody else
Right.
in another state.
Yeah. And that's what I always appreciated about any of the concealed carry courses or anything. I know the NRA has a bunch of courses as far as that goes. They always deal with the legalities and not just the range time.
Yeah.
So
It's good to training. I've always taken 3 of my grandkids through a course just to know, and then my granddaughter really didn't think she could ever hurt someone with an actual firearm. So she got, I don't know if it was online or where, she's got this little thing that'll shoot like little gas pellets.
mhm,
And I've seen some videos, they'll knock the guy down almost as quick,
mhm,
because I mean, you hit him in the chest and immediately he's breathing it.
right.
And his vision and ability to stand up is done at that point. So I told her, yeah, I mean, you can probably apply a lot of the same protocol concepts, but if she feels safer, at least she's using something.
Right.
Because I get so nervous um in this day and age,
Right.
when I hear about a guy who will just go in and sit in on a Bible study and then halfway through
Right.
pull
Right.
out a weapon and start shooting, I'm going, my God, I mean, you're not safe anywhere.
Right.
You
Right.
can't say, oh, I just go in 7-Eleven. I mean,
Well, that that gets into a concept of where you are in a timeline. If you have a timeline that shows in the center an incident, maybe an IED going off or something like that. All of your battle drills are based on what happens after that, to the right side of the timeline, to the right of bang. But to the left of bang are all the indicators of something might happen. So in the case of like an IED, I think that's a classic one. If you're normally patrolling someplace that you see normal activity of marketplace, of people drinking tea, of kids playing in the streets, kind of stuff on a normal basis, and then all of a sudden, when you're going through that same area and you don't have that, shops are closed up, people are not to be seen. That's a flag. That's a red flag. And you may want to consider changing what you're doing.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. But kids nowadays, in my mind, they're not situationally aware enough of what's going on. And they're in their phones, they're texting people they might be walking with, that kind of stuff. They're on their phones and they're not aware of things going on. If you can change their awareness levels from really zero to at least being aware of their surroundings, and then be ready, if something triggers it, then be ready to consider actions, and then even higher levels taking the actions. So, as an escalation kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But it just has to start from awareness. And kids are not aware.
All we can do is pray for them, Mark.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it was great talking to you.
Same
I
here,
enjoyed
man. Enjoy your event in June. Sorry we're not going to see you, but at least you'll be doing something more recreational than have to.
Well, okay, so one of the things with Team Rubicon is that you go there to help. You're not a disaster tourist. You're not there taking selfies and stuff. So I feel like if I can carry that idea over into my vacations and do service projects, I'm that much farther ahead.
I can hear you.
It's not all about me.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. Always pays to give back.
I'm trying.
Well, stay safe, my friend. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, good talking to you.
We'll catch you maybe in the future on the next one.
All right. You have
Aloha,
a good
my
one.
man.
Hello.